Now I'm going to walk you through exercise 2 where we turn an 1800s map into 3 dimensions using today's satellite imagery to first find these locations. So we've got to do some georeferencing, we've got to do some digitizing, and we have to create attributes in a table. To get started, go ahead and click on Map, save it in your exercise 2 folder, and give it a name of your choosing. I named mine EX_02_georef because we're going to be doing georeferencing in this first part. First, we'll want to zoom in to Indianapolis. There's 2 ways we can zoom into a particular location. First, you can go to Map, and then click Locate, and then search for IUPUI, and the map zooms into our campus. Another method is to turn off the layers that are extremely large files. So we'll remove the world topographic layer and the world hillshade. We'll then add the base map imagery hybrid, making sure to click off the world imagery. And then we zoom in quickly using our mouse to our location. What happened there was essentially the hybrid reference layer is a vector data file, and thus much easier on a computer, much less data. We don't have to have all the tapestry of images that create the world imagery layer. Go ahead and just zoom in so that Michigan Street is at the top, New York Street is at the bottom, Blackford, and then West Street. Go ahead and click on the world imagery layer, and now we have underneath this vector layer of road names and street center lines, we have a rather recent satellite image. Our first task is to set the map in terms of its coordinate system. So we'll right click on the map up at the top, the map part, click Properties, Coordinate System, and we're going to find the UTM folder. To do that, we go to Projected Coordinate System, scroll down to UTM, click the triangle next to that, NAD 1983, and we're looking for 16N. There we go. Now let's go get the Sanborn map. Go to Add Data, click Data, navigate to your Exercise 2 folder, then the Exercise 2 data folder, and you should see the .tiff file. Highlight it and then click OK. Hopefully less than 30 seconds later, the TIFF was added into the contents pane. And you'll note this by the red, green, and blue bands that have been added. Now let's go find the Sanborn map. Click in Imagery, Georeference, and then Fit to Display. And the TIFF has now been added. Now go to Move, wait for the Sanborn map to turn transparent, move over the yellow dot, left click and hold down, and move it just to the east of West Street. Next, we need to add a control point to connect the Sanborn map to particular points in reality. And to do this, we'll start off with the intersection of Michigan and Blackford. Click Add Control Points, and then zoom in to the intersection where the lines cross. You'll note it says from point in parentheses source. So what that's saying is we're going from our source, which is our Sanborn map, and we're going to left click, and now we're going to go to the target, which is Michigan and Blackford in reality. Left click, and now zoom out, and you've added your first control point. Now do the same thing for the other corner in the northern part here on Michigan Avenue, this time the intersection of Michigan and West Street. Left click on the map. Now we have a situation where it's hard to see where West Street and Michigan cross each other. So temporarily, let's go ahead and click on the TIFF and click it off so it disappears, and then left click on our target. Now go back, Click back on the Tiff. Now we'll do the center of the map where California Street and Vermont Street intersect. Click on the Sanborn map. Toggle the visibility of the Sanborn map, and then left click on the target. To be precise, let's go ahead and finish off the southwest and southeast corners. We could continue to add control points, but let's move on. Go ahead and click Save here in the Georeference toolbar, and it's probably also a good time to save our map as well. Now our last step is we have to export this particular Sanborn map now that it's georeferenced, and we have to export it as a new TIFF file. To do that, let's go to Data at the top, then Export Raster, and on the right side the Export Raster pane opens. Go ahead and save it in our Exercise 2 folder as georef.tiff. You can make it whatever you want though. Make sure the coordinate system says NAD 1983 UTM Zone 16N. If not, change it by clicking the globe on the right of the particular drop-down box. Leave everything as is except put a 0 in the no data value and click Export. After the export happens, go back to Georeference, click Close Georeference, and then remove the other layers you do not need. That would be the world imagery, our original TIFF file, and the hybrid reference layer. So that all that remains is the georeferenced .tiff file, our Sanborn map that has been transferred from the 1889 paper analog map to one that is digital and has the coordinate system that we see today used quite often in Indiana. This is the end of part 1 of exercise 2.